to talk about Anglican Christianity. I want to say a word about those two words, Anglican and Christianity. Christianity, of course, is familiar. It means followers of Jesus Christ. That's what we Christians are. But the other one is Anglican, which is a word you may have heard but may not quite know where it comes from. It comes from English, and it means that we're Christians who can trace our theological and liturgical and our heritage of tradition back to the time of Christianity in England.
And so if Christianity is the very broadest understanding of who we are followers of Jesus Christ. And Anglican describes a next level broadness. In particular, we are both priests in the Episcopal Church, which is the Episcopal expression of the Anglican Church, or as our presiding bishop Michael Curry likes to say, the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement. Episcopal, the word, just comes from a word meaning bishops, and it has to do a little bit with how we're governed, but really is the name for our particular expression of the faith.
So one of the important ideas in Anglican Christianity that we sometimes hear is a Latin phrase, lex orandi, lex credendi. And what it means is sort of roughly translatable as the law of prayer is the law of belief. Or you can reverse it, the law of belief is the law of prayer. And what that means is that our praying shapes our believing. How we pray shapes what we believe. Another phrase that you sometimes hear about Anglican Christianity is the via media, which means the middle way. That comes from a time when the Anglican Christian tradition was seen as a middle way between what was seen as the excesses of Rome and the excesses of continental Protestantism, and so English Christianity was a middle way that avoided those two extremes, but also incorporated parts of them.
But in particular, when you're trying to define what is an Anglican church, and particularly what is an Episcopal church, one of the ways that we understand that is that we are people who worship according to the Book of Common Prayer. It's a pretty basic way to understand what does it mean to be an Anglican or what does it mean to be an Episcopalian. We use a particular book for our worship called the Book of Common Prayer. So let's say a little bit about what that is particularly. The first Book of Common Prayer was written in 1549, put together really by then Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer. And ever since then, there have been further iterations of the Book of Common Prayer, which have been passed down through the ages. And Anglican churches around the world and the Episcopal Church today worship according to the Book of Common Prayer. It's a book. The title tells us what it is. That was actually kind of a radical idea when it first came out, because the idea prior to 1549 was that the liturgies, the ways that we worship as a community, were exclusive to the clergy or maybe the monastics, monks and nuns. They were the only ones who had access to the structure of how we pray and the words that we pray. Thomas Cranmer said no, and others said no, we think it should be a book that anyone can have and hold, that all people should have access to the ways that we pray as a community. So it was printed as a book that anyone can have, and today you too can have a Book of Common Prayer. It's not just a book, but it's common. Common not in a pejorative sense, but in the sense that it is available to all, and we hold it in common. These are the prayers we say together as a community. It's not one person's way of praying, it's our way of praying. That's what it means to be an Episcopalian, to be part of the Episcopal Church. We pray in this particular way, together. And it is the Book of Common Prayer. Now notice it says prayer and not prayers. It is full of many prayers, but prayer singularly is telling us about this is the way that we pray. The Book of Common Prayer has prayers for all parts and situations of life. It has the Eucharist and Holy Baptism, which we'll get to later. It also has prayers for daily use at meals, prayers for times when you're struggling with sickness, all different kinds of prayers. But it's the way that we pray. It is our prayer together as a community, held in the pages of this book, that we can all have and hold in our hands. That's what it means to be part of this particular church, to pray in this particular way.